All right, welcome to the Surplus Boys channel. I'm going to keep this probably as quick as I can. This is Nick's hands, and I'm going to be sewing M35 tunic collar tabs on my Soviet equipment. And so pretty much you need a couple things. I'm going to kind of show you real fast pretty much what's going on. All right, so your M35 style tunic is going to have a fall type collar like this, and then your rank insignia is going to be on that collar. So this is a M41 subdued pattern. So I did these, and it came out pretty good. So I'm all right with that. So yeah, that's a subdued M41, and then here's my other M35, which does not have anything on it, so we're going to be working with this one. And to kind of show you a reference, I know a lot of people, for the M43, that is that style of rank and insignia, so obviously you don't sew it on there, just to kind of use as reference. Then there is transitional models where they have these shoulder boards on these style tunics, where they just kind of, sometimes they'll rip these off, or they'll just leave them on and they'll put the shoulder boards on, but I ain't messing with that. So get these out of the way and just kind of show you how I do it. So this is a Schuster's tunic I got from a fellow reenactor, and I'm going to be putting on actual M35 bars on here, so that is the red style that you'd find. So pretty much that is these guys. So, you know, magenta or red with black pipping, that's for infantry. I am a sergeant, so for the M35 style, pretty much what you'd have is this red line in the center that denotes Gefreiter, and then from there you have individual pips, little tiny rank triangles, since I am an NCO, and these little guys. So you have individual ones, so I'll have a set of 2 on each one, plus all the other insignia pieces that go on here. So yeah, that's that. All right, so in order to sew on your collar tabs, you'll need collar tabs, pair of scissors, a needle, and I'm going to be using black thread for mine. You could use other ones that more match the tunic. Whenever you get a pair of tabs, either if you get them reproductions or originals or something like that, there's usually a little bit of excess, at least for the reproductions. They're not that long. That's ridiculously long. They're actually going to be a little shorter, so you can kind of tell that this is way longer. So pretty much this piece we'll cut down. We're not going to do that right now though. So I'm actually what I'm going to do, so this is for the right hand side, is I'm going to kind of line up where I want this to be on here, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, especially on like a brand new tunic that hasn't had one on there. You know, some people, they'll wrap it around like this, and I think there's period photos of that, but I don't really like that look. That doesn't really seem very original, like how they did it. So pretty much what I'm going to do is, with that bend, I'm actually going to fold it in like so. I'm going to sew this in. I'm going to sew a line in here, and then I'm going to fold over. You know, obviously if it's straight, I'll fold it over, and so it'll be a nice seam, pretty much up against here with this. This excess will be cut off before I start doing that, and then ladder stitching the rest of it in. So that's the plan. So let's see how that gets done. I'm not a very good seamstress or anything like that. I do a lot of different other things than sewing stuff, so I kind of know how to sew, not really, but pretty much I'm gonna double up this thread. So pretty much take it to both ends, and what I do to tie that off, it's kind of hokey, but wrap it around your finger and lace it over like so, and then hold that like that, and I will twist this by pushing my thumb and my forefinger like so, and then grab that with the middle finger and then pull, and then that makes a knot. Not the most pretty knot, but I don't care. So there we go, got that. And then I'll kind of start lining this up, and then I'll sew in from the top and then come back around and then tie off. And for this part, I'm literally just going to sew straight through. I'm not going to do any type of, you know, kind of like mattress style stitching where you go in and come right back out. I'm going to just go straight through the tunic for this part. I'm going to go up pretty high at first. You can see my ugly knot will get in the way, but that's whatever, you're not going to see that. And then always kind of double checking where I'm sitting with the how this is going to be positioned, because this is, you know, this edge is pretty important with how it looks, at least in my opinion. So. When I'm finally done with this, I want to come back. So this is on the back end, and then pretty much what I'll do, I'll just pierce it in a bunch of different times through this material on here, like right near this knot. Keep doing that probably like 5 times, and then I'll cut this off and I'll tie it off by hand. It's not really the prettiest thing, but I never really was taught correctly how to do that, so whatever. I'm going to cut most of this excess off, and I'm going to fold this guy over, and then I'm going to pretty much line it up as best I can, keeping it nice and even on that bottom edge there. And you kind of want probably about, I didn't even really measure, in all honesty. That's probably like quarter of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, I think, off the bottom of the collar. Cut this off. Usually on this end, down here, you want to cut it off since it, you know, comes out of here. You want to cut it pretty close to your threads. Obviously, don't cut the threads, because then you have to do it all over again. But get pretty close on this bottom edge. And then the rest, you can have a little bit extra hanging out on the top. Is you pretty much want it as close to the end thread that you laid before. So pretty much right on top of it. I'm going to go straight through. So I'm going to go pretty much in a little bit of material and right back out. So it's not going all the way through the collar tab. Yeah, not looking too bad. So yeah, that's a pretty proper way to do it. Looks very nice, especially on this edge, coming up with that. So yeah, that's that on that. So I got to do the other side. I also got to put in some other stuff. So I'll kind of show you how I do that next. I'm gonna do my little loop, 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 and then tie this off. And then we'll go to the actual pieces that go on here. There would be those. So I'd have 2 on each side. And then also on the, I think it's 40 dated, I know for 1940 they started putting these in here. But they also had this yellow device, or whatever you want to call it, this little yellow triangle. This goes up in the top corner, right there like so.
And then you'd also have what branch you are. You would have your motif as well. So this obviously means I'm an infantryman. So I'm going to use this pick to widen this a little bit so it makes it easier. So my hole was like right there. All right, so I got that on. A little bit of wiggling, a little bit of twisting. All right, I'm gonna put this piece on, which goes up in the top corner, up over here. This is probably up a little too high, I think. Yeah, well, not bad. Yeah, looks pretty cool. All right, and I did repeat on the other side, and there you go. Those are two pretty good looking collar tabs there. So, pretty nice. All right, cool. I can use these for retting now. So that's my way of doing it by hand. I know it probably wasn't too explainy, but you know, kind of to get the basic gist of the much more nicer way to get it done by hand. You know, if you have a sewing machine, it's a lot easier. But I'm a poor ass boy, so whatever. All right, well, we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.